All throughout Kyle Rittenhouse's story, throughout the trial, Facebook has actively been trying to censor the truth and has been a part of the mainstream media narrative against Kyle Rittenhouse, and people were having their accounts seized, suspended, and frozen for saying anything true about the Kyle Rittenhouse case. And finally, we're all vindicated and we can talk about the truth. And I want to take you through something today, and I'm asking you, I know it's going to be very difficult for people to listen to the very end. I know your stomach is going to turn. I know you're going to want to throw up, but I'm asking you to not stop watching this video because it's important that you watch it and that you share it. Because if we are going to contribute to a great awakening in this world, people need to understand what happened in this case, who Black Lives Matter is as an organization, and how desperately they are fighting to defend what is really just degeneracy. I'm not going to take you through the in and outs of this case. I actually just kind of want to talk about what we weren't allowed to say and why. And obviously, you guys all know by now that Kyle Rittenhouse was accused of killing two white men. So the fact that Black Lives Matter got involved in this case at all is completely extraordinary. And the narrative that the media presented was that these were two good white men that were out there protesting for Black lives. And this is one of the biggest media lies, I think, really ever. And I think it's bigger than the lies surrounding Saint George Floyd and the now statues and murals that we have around him, even though he lived his life as a monster. Because the only bigger monster that I can possibly think of that Black Lives Matter has ever defended is Joseph Rosenbaum. Joseph Rosenbaum was one of the men that was killed by Kyle Rittenhouse. And so, since Kyle Rittenhouse is now innocent, I would like to take you through, in the same way that I took you through George Floyd's arrest history, I want to take you through Joseph Rosenbaum's history. And again, I'm asking you to share this because people need to understand that this organization, Black Lives Matter, defends criminals and defends degeneracy, and they want degeneracy on the streets. So Joseph Rosenbaum, for those of you that do not know, spent 12 years in prison. First and foremost, he was charged by a grand jury with 11 counts of child molestation and inappropriate sexual activity around children, and that included anal rape. The victims were 5 boys, and those 5 boys ranged in age from the ages of 9 to 11 years old. I want to take you through all 11 counts because it is really important that you understand who this individual was, how despicable this person was, and I'm asking you to listen to what Joseph Rosenbaum actually did. Okay. Count 1 that he was charged on was public indecency to a minor by committing an act of sexual contact by masturbating while a minor was present. Count 2 was similarly committed sexual contact with a minor by engaging in an act of sexual intercourse by penetrating the victim's anus with his penis. Count 3. Again, these are 5 boys between the ages of 9 and 11 years old. Count 3, he provided and gave, advertised, or distributed items that were harmful to minors. Photographs of nude women, including their genitals. Count 4, he committed an act of sexual contact by masturbating with the minor while the minor was present. Count 5, Joseph Rosenbaum, who is on pictures and is being picketed in his face, and their Black Lives Matter is talking about what a glorious person he was because he defended Black lives. Count 5, he knowingly engaged in an act of sexual intercourse, a minor under the age of 15, by penetrating the victim's anus. Count 6, he engaged in an act of oral sexual contact with a minor under the age of 15 years by inserting his penis into the victim's mouth. Again, these boys were aged 9 through 11, and there were 5 of them. It's hard to get through this. Count 7, he knowingly engaged in an act of oral sexual contact with a minor under the age of 15 years old by placing his mouth on the victim's penis. Again, these boys were aged 9 through 11 years old. Count 8, another sexual contact with the victim, a child under the age of 15, involving touching the victim's genitals and his penis with his hand. Count 9, a child under the age of 15 years old involving genitals by causing the victim to touch his own penis. Count 10, we're almost done. We only got 2 more counts. I know this is really hard to get through. Count 10, a child under the age of 15 involving the genitals by touching the victim's penis with his finger. And the last count was a count of indecent exposure, in which he showed the victim his penis. So that is Joseph Rosenbaum, who was the individual that was at the center of this child, who the Black Lives Matter and all of the mainstream media has been telling you is a victim and has been painting him as a hero, who is out there defending Black lives. Of course, any person who has watched any of the evidence knows that Joseph Rosenbaum, who was supposed to, by the way, stay away from all minors that were under the age of 18, because he spent 12 years in prison, and they reduced his counts. He copped a plea, so he went to prison for lesser counts because he copped a plea. So he went to prison for 12 years in total, and they basically just completely wanted nobody to know this information so that they could feed this incessant, disgusting narrative that somehow this case had anything to do with race, or somehow that Joseph Rosenbaum cared about Black people, when in the video, when he is chasing Kyle, he's using racial slurs. He's calling him the N-word.